you need two things, a buyer and a seller. The seller and the buyer rather. Correct? So somebody in some part of the country, let us say that India has got some cargo to sell to say somebody in Japan. Correct? So for him to sell from here to there, he will contact him. He will say, I have say 50,000 tons of cargo to be sent to you. I have ore. Are you ready to buy? They will both decide that yes. He will say, I want to sell. He will say, I want to buy, and for 50,000 tons, I will pay you $100 per ton. Right? Then the banking transaction takes place. Okay. So 50,000 into $100 is what this guy is going to get as his money. But he will say he has two options. He will say, I will pay you this $100 if you give it to me here, in my country, in my workshop. I know. Or he will say, don't worry, I will take from your country, your workshop, and I will get it to my country. Okay, that word is X works. So the first thing that will be written in the contract is X works on seller's side or X works on buyer's side. Okay, so that means one of them will decide. Now tell me, common sense wise, if he is saying $100 for 50k, X works seller side, that means the buyer has to spend for all this to take this from here to there. Okay. But if the seller says, okay, I will give you here. Okay. Then will he agree to $100 or will he ask for more? Correct. Right. So first of all, the freight is also not coming in between. First of all, he has made a deal saying that when he says that it is to your account, you are going to transport everything, it is called FOB, free on board. Okay. And when it is he is paying for everything, it is called CIF or cost insurance freight. Okay. And this also, there is a lot of dynamics to it that I will come to it in your next semester, coming on to how this is managed, because the country comes into the picture there, and something called as SDRs, special drawing rights. How many of you want to Google and just for knowledge and information sake, you can find out what is SDRs and what is the Bretton Woods Conference and the birth of International Monetary Fund. That will be fun to learn. I will clarify later. Okay. Coming back to that, so they will decide. Whichever way it is, somebody has to pay for the transportation from here to here. So we come in. Now this guy may be situated in some Timbuktu or whatever, some Jharkhand or something like that in India, from where he has to transport that cargo somehow to the nearest railway station. From there he has to transport to the nearest port, and then you have to transport this entire cargo on the other side. Okay. So he will have to find somebody to do all this road come rail transport, and then finally it will come to us on the ship, and similarly on the other side he has to find ways in which either by road or by rail it has to reach the other person, right? Combination of all these together is called as a multimodal transport. Now these two both decides that this 50k, I'm going to, let us take it as 30k because it is easier to identify this. This 30k I'm going to send it by container to you. If I think that it is a weight cargo, that means less than 1.25 stowage factor is called as a weight cargo, 1.2, more than that it is called as a volumetric cargo, that we already see, right? So if I consider this as a weight cargo, I will need 1000 containers, isn't it? So I'll have to transport 1000 containers by rail, roll, ship, road, rail, blah blah blah. Multimodal transportation starts right from the X works area, and your freight is charged depending on what is the mode. Our problem is only the freight here. Okay. Here again, the cargo guy is not, he doesn't know what is all this, how to transport and all that. If he is a major player, like I told you about chemical manufacturer or some manufacturer, he makes his own containers, he buys his own containers, he makes special containers and he travels. Other than that, if it is a small little guy in a farm who's making massive amount of rice, say for example, and he wants to export rice, he doesn't have those kind of facilities. So he will go, and first there will be a guy called cargo consolidator. Okay, cargo consolidator is a guy who consolidates a set of cargo. If I have a ship with 1000 TEUs, this guy has got 1000 TEUs. Let us take the same example as only for 500 tons instead of 30k tons. He will not have everything, no. So there will be a cargo consolidator who will consolidate all these small cargoes to say that, hey, now I have 30k. Or I can easily load 1000 containers or whatever the case may be, much lesser. It can be as much as 1 container to 1000 containers. Cargo consolidators then will contract what is called as freight forwarders. Okay, the freight forwarders or all these boys and girls who are studying here will be most of the time working for the commonly called as logistic companies. Okay, the freight forwarders are the ones who actually understand this full business, and they will many times they own containers. They are called NVOCCs, non-vessel owning cargo carriers or container carriers. Nowadays both are being used, whatever it is. So that guy will now identify a correct ship to send, or number of ships to send, or part of a ship to send. He may have 10 containers, he may have 20 containers, he may have 1000 containers. So depending on that, now he will find, and here where all the liners and trams. Have I introduced liner shipping and tram shipping? No, so that will come only in your next year. Anyway, liners and trams will compete to say that, hey, I will give you my slot to Japan at $1,000 a slot. Slot is 20 by 8, not 40 by 8. So 20 by 8 slot, I will give you 10 slots, I will give you 100 slots, I will give you 1000 slots, and then they will compete for the price, cost, everything, so many other dynamics, and then they will arrive at some cost towards this. Other side, exactly the same thing gets repeated till you reach up from a buyer to a seller. Our job here is to ensure along all this way, what is important to understand that the cargo can get damaged in any of these legs, and so many ways of getting damaged. So that is where a third party called risk carrier, or a professional risk carrier, or an insurance company as it's called. Every one of them is getting insured. Okay, but when it comes to the ship, it is not just that particular risk of that particular cargo and container. That container can also risk so many other people's. Even his cargo may be in one side, would put it to risk his cargo. Why would he want to take that? So that becomes a liability to him. These are two different aspects. Again, I will cover that in your last year. But the difference between risk and liability, or rather pure risk and liability. So that we will see later. But that is another aspect that plays. But the business of container ship starts from here. And when it comes here, any slot that is empty is a loss for us. Any slot that is going to carry the empties, what I was telling you about, is also not going to fetch us. If he's going to pay us $1,000, how much do you think he's going to pay for an empty? You will be surprised. It is just about $10 a slot or $15 a slot or something like that. I don't know really what is the going on rate, but depending on this, called pick up and drop of charges. Depending on which port it is and how the balance of trade is, that is also decided by the market. In shipping, there is a word: charge what the market can pay. And this is actually true. You know, in the COVID times, it's very difficult for us to manage the ships, no doubt. But a normal container freight, say $1,500 from Chennai to US for a box. It is called a box. Generally, container is referred to as a box. Okay, a box rate of say $1,500 freight per box went up to $50,000-$60,000 during COVID times. Phenomenal money the container vessels paid against all odds. To that extent, Evergreen, one of the largest container operators, actually declared 4 full years wages as bonus to all the seafarers. Nice to know how many of you want to join Evergreen. Nobody is going to take you. Forget it. They are all Chinese,
Pakistanis.
Taiwanese. But even Maersk gave 6 months bonus to all their seafarers. So it is a great thing. You know, those kind of things do happen. The changes in freight, the dynamics is too much. So they say that we can charge what the market can pay. And mind you, many times ship owners go in total loss. There is no cargo. What can they do? They have to run the ship or they have to lay off the ship, but they have to again have the fuel, have the officers there, have the crew there and everything. That is also another challenge. So both sides is possible. Shipping is highly cyclic. But the luck that you guys are in, you are entering into the shipping market or the era at a time when the world, the statistics has identified at least 20 to 30,000 shortage of seafarers in the next 5 years. So all of you have got a chance if you behave yourself. You can stop that.
Yes, sir.
And